Yes. Cheers, hello. As promised, this is a video about all of my most used makeup from 2024. This could also be called like my 2024 makeup MVPs. These are the makeup products that I was grabbing for almost every single time I did my makeup. I was actually a little overwhelmed to make this video because I thought, oh my God, it's gonna be so long. There's gonna be so many products. And then when I actually started typing out all of my most used products, it's actually quite a small list. A lot of the categories only have one product in them. If you are new here, hello, my name is Cate. I'm an exclusively pro-choice influencer. That means that I only feature products from brands that are in support of abortion rights. If you'd like to learn more about what brands those are, I always keep a research and updated pro-choice beauty brand list that can always be found in one of two places on my Instagram as a pinned post and on my YouTube community tab. I try to update it every month, but truth be told, at this point, I don't really have updates every single month. So I wait until I have like a substantial enough amount, like at least a handful of new brands to add to the list, and then I will update it as I go. First, starting with my favorite primers. So I have two primers to talk about today, the first of which is my most used, which is the Merit Great Skin Priming Moisturizer. Both of the primers I'm going to talk about here today are not just primers, they are also just beautiful skincare. That's really my favorite kind of primer. I'm not a mattifying primer gal, I'm not a pore filling primer gal. I like primers that are skincare, that are going to give you the best possible canvas for makeup application. This is a beautiful, light, but hydrating formula. It also has a cashmere finish to it. And I always like to talk about application with this primer because it's so important, especially with the Merit Minimalistic. You definitely want to make sure that you put on the primer, you have that damp, primed skin, and you go right over it with your foundation. That is going to give you the most beautiful, flawless application of the Merit Minimalistic. And the other primer I'm always reaching for is the Dew Air Angel. This is a less intensely rich and thick version of the Dew Instant Angel. So this is a hydrating gel cream, and they specifically made this for people who might have oilier skin in the summer months when you don't want something quite as dewy perhaps. This has a soft matte finish. Now, what I want to say about that, I feel like when people hear matte, they think it's just gonna like suck all the moisture out of their skin and they're just gonna be this matte face walking around. That might be the case with matte makeup, but that is not the case with something like a soft matte moisturizer. That's just describing the finish and letting you know that it's not going to be as thick and rich and dewy of a finish as, for instance, the Dew Instant Angel, which is their like most intense moisturizer. Makeup adheres to this beautifully. I like to use this with foundations where I feel like maybe I don't need like a super dewy priming moisturizer and a dewy foundation. So for instance, today I use this with my Patrick Ta foundation, and I just feel like these go together so well. Like this is the only primer I use when I use the Patrick Ta foundation. Okay, so moving on to foundation, and I have 3 different foundations that I just couldn't put down this year, starting with the one that I use the most, and that is the Saie foundation. This is their Glowy Super Skin Foundation. I just feel like this is the most beautiful, flawless second skin foundation. It is a serum-like foundation. It's really light, and it's a foundation that I hear not a lot of people talking about, which really confuses me. I do have the Saie Slip Tint, but I do not grab for it over this. That's just my preference. The Saie Slip Tint is a lot less coverage than this. That's definitely more of like a skin polish. And I just feel like this is more of a proper foundation. My number 2 most used foundation is, of course, the Merit Minimalistic. I'm not even sure which one wins out because I probably use them about the same amount. This is the makeup that I keep in my makeup bag at all times. Like when I go to work and I take my makeup bag with me, this comes with me. The other thing that really wins out with this foundation stick for me is that it's a 2-in-1 product. Not only is it a foundation, but it's a concealer as well. I will always, always, always have this on hand. I love the Merit Minimalistic, and it is hands down my favorite foundation stick. And then the foundation that I'm wearing today, this is the Patrick Ta foundation. It's third because it pretty much just came out recently. So I definitely can't say I've worn it as much as these foundations, but it's all I've been wearing since I purchased it. This is a very creamy serum-like foundation. And I actually did a whole video based around this foundation talking about how I feel like it gives you this really ethereal, angelic look to your skin. It really gives you like angel skin. It's very magical. Moving on to concealer, and my number one most used concealer is the Tower 28. This is also a really great spot concealing concealer. It's really creamy. This is something I can just like wear skincare with and just spot conceal and feel like it does a really beautiful job of looking natural. A lot of people have asked me about the Cate concealer, and that was actually featured in my best of 2024 makeup releases. I love that concealer. I will say I reached for this more. I feel like this is creamier. I feel like it is one of those concealers where it doesn't matter how you apply it. You could literally apply it with your fingers, with a sponge, with a brush, and it wouldn't matter. Whereas with the Cate concealer, although I do feel like it's beautiful and I do use it, I do feel like this is a little bit more of a finicky concealer because for me, this goes on beautifully with a damp sponge, but I tried to apply this with my fingers. It wasn't really easy going. I really didn't love it. So that's why the Tower 28 is the one that I'm grabbing for all the time. And then of course the Merit Minimalistic, which I already just went on and on about. Like I said, this is a phenomenal concealer just on its own. I have definitely just used this, like used another foundation and then used this as a concealer. So good, so quick and easy. Okay, we're getting to a category that has given me a lot of hell. My all-time favorite powder still to this day was the Charlotte Tilbury powder, which I had to give up because once again, Charlotte Tilbury, not a pro-choice brand. So I'm always in pursuit of something that comes even close to that powder, and the closest thing I've found is the LYS powder. This is my second container of the LYS powder, and very sad news, this is being discontinued. All I can say is I really hope they're coming out with something amazing to replace it. I don't even know why they're getting rid of this. This is so good. LYS, why? This is what's on my skin today, but anyway, like, never mind, because it's not gonna exist anymore. Moving on to bronzer, and again, I have one bronzer to show you. She is in very bad shape. I can't believe I'm actually gonna show this to you. I still have this crumbled ass Jones Road bronzer. I need to get a new one, okay? Like, that's how good it is though. Even though it's all crumbled to hell, it's the best one I have, and also it's not as warm as other bronzers. And now that it is winter time and I am fully reverting back to my pale ass self. Yeah, I hate to say it, but the Merit bronzers, which I love this formula, but right now these are way too warm for me. They do not work. This is the best. It's the medium tan shade. I don't know, for my skin tone, this is just a really beautiful bronzer. I'm wearing it very subtly today. I really like a powder bronzer over a cream bronzer, I'm finding, just because I love the blur it gives my skin. Moving on to brows, my most used brow product of the year is the Merit Brow Pomade. This is called Brow 1980 and I wear it in dark brown. I have it on my brows today. I loved the Glossier Boy Brow for years and I still have it, but I have to say this is just like a little bit better of a shade match for me, and I feel like it's a little bit more substantial. I feel like I can get away with not using both a brow pencil and this when I use this. Whereas when I use something like the Glossier Boy Brow, it's just like a little too understated and subtle, and I kind of feel like I have to go in with both. Okay, I would have been mad at myself if I wouldn't have thought to mention this. This is the other brow product that I use all the damn time. It is the Make Infinite Hold Sculpting Brow Gel. This is what I turn to when I want my brows to stay in place, which is pretty much always. I like that really nice kind of subtle brushed up, feathered out brow look. And this is, in my opinion, one of the best products to do it with because I really love the application system because it's all in one. You basically apply it like a mascara. A lot of products that are like a brow freeze type product, like Anastasia Beverly Hills has one, as well as e.l.f. I really love those products, but I have to have like a separate brush and then dip it into the pot. With this, I don't have to mess with any of that. It's all right there. This is truly like my favorite kind of brow shellac, brow freeze, stay in place product. So we're moving on to what is arguably probably my least favorite category of makeup, and that is eyeshadow. Maybe not so much anymore, but when I first started YouTube, and that was in 2017, it almost felt like a crime to not love eyeshadow and like really intense eyeshadow looks and eyeshadow palettes. So I kind of tried to love eyeshadow palettes and embrace them, but I'm just not a palette kind of girl. That just feels a little high maintenance for me. I am all about a one and done cream shadow. It is what I gravitate toward all the time. And this is hands down my most used shadow. This is the Merit Solo Shadow, and this particular shade is what I always use. It's called Studio. It is like the perfect boring shade that just gives my lids a little something. It smooths them out, and it literally takes, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds to blend out. These really respond well to the warmth of my finger, and that is my preferred way of blending these out. I really don't prefer blending these out with a brush. I mentioned this in my other video, but I have to talk about the other shade of the Solo Shadow that I can't get enough of. It's not available right now. This was a special edition holiday set shade. It's called Glacé. I am just going to like manifest this for 2025, that Merit finally comes out with this shade as like a part of their permanent collection. And what would really send me over the moon is if they came out with like a whole line of shimmery solo shadows. These are literally the only eyeshadows I use. Before we move on to mascara, I want to talk about the product that is making my mascara look even better. Guys, I started using Lash serum again, and my God, does it make a difference. Why is it that I was using Lash serum for years and my lashes were so long, they were fabulous, and then I was just like, I think I'll just get really lazy and stop. And then of course my lashes got little and stubby, and that's when Grande Lash came in and saved the day. I'm like, I've heard so much about this, and you know, they sent me their product and I committed to using this. I use this every single day, and I've been using it for at least the last 2 months every day, and my lashes are finally back to the length they were when I was happy with them. And I do have a discount code for this. I believe it's 15% off, and you can always find those discount codes down below in my description box. I have one for Dew, I have one for Salt New York, along with everything else I'm talking about here today, which is linked down below as well. Moving on to mascara. So this is the Ilia Limitless Lash Mascara. Yes, it is a mini. I bought this months ago and I just finished it. I love this mascara, and I just feel like Ilia, it's kind of a hit or miss brand. I really love some of their products, and some of their products are kind of like meh. This mascara is phenomenal, and I actually did my lashes with it today. I love the brush on this. I feel like I can really get into my lashes, get into every nook and cranny. It's really nice and buildable. It's really lengthening, and it also gives me really decent volume as well. So this is just a really nice everyday all-in-one mascara. And the other mascara that has to be mentioned is of course the Tower 28 mascara. I do not have this mascara on hand because I ran out of it. I need to restock. This is one of my favorites as well, and I feel like for the price point you get it all. You get the length, you get the lushness. If you like just a little bit more drama with your lashes, I feel like the Tower 28 is perfect for you because you really can build it up, which is what I love about that mascara. I just feel like it gives me like the thickest, most flirty lashes. My most used blush of the year actually had a shade range extension recently, and you guessed it, of course, that is going to be the Merit Flush Balms. There's several blushes I'm going to be talking about today, but the Merit Flush Balm is hands down my most used blush. I am wearing it on my skin today, and I'm wearing a combination of an OG shade and a brand new shade. So I am wearing a combination of the new shade Le Bon Bon, which is one of their new shades. This is a beautiful bright pink, and I'm going to mention this little tip to you guys for people who are maybe not as into a super dewy blush, and this is also going to help your blush stay longer. So today I did my foundation, then over the foundation I went in with Le Bon Bon, and then this is the key, I set that with powder. So I went over Le Bon Bon with powder, then as the final step for double blushing I went in with the Merit Flush Balm in the shade Stockholm. These blushes are just so beautiful and so workable, and if you haven't checked out the new shade range, I did an entire dedicated video to the brand new shades, and there are 5 brand new shades in the collection. Definitely check out that video I did because it really shows you how some of the blush shades are a little bit different. For instance, Stockholm to me is the perfect blush topper because it kind of almost works as this blush slash glaze slash highlighter on your cheek. So I love to top blushes with Stockholm. It's so sheer and beautiful. Whereas the shade Le Bonbon, for instance, is far more pigmented, and I go in with a much lighter hand. So that's why I say definitely check that out, because depending on what you're looking for, maybe that'll be helpful in terms of helping you decide which blush you want to choose. Okay, I kind of didn't realize I actually don't have a lot of blushes to share with you. I just have one more blush, and this was the other blush drop this year that I just lost my mind about. I thought it was a damn near perfect launch, and those are the Rhode Pocket Blushes. These are yet another beautifully blendable cream blush. It's a no-fail product. Again, I loved the shades that they came out with. I really hope that they continue to extend the shade range of these blushes. Of course, these happen to be two of my favorites because I think you can tell I love a pink blush. So the two that I gravitate toward the most are probably the shade Juice Box, a bright pink, and then the shade Piggy, which is sort of like a softer, cooler pink. If you're comparing these to the Merit Flush Balms, I would say across the board, these tend to be a little bit more opaque and a little bit more pigmented, generally speaking, than the Merit Flush Balms. I feel like a lot of people really shaded Rhode for a long time, and probably still are, because of Hailey Bieber, just because of the fact that she owns the brand, which I just want to point out, no matter what you might think about Hailey Bieber, the brand Rhode itself is one of the most outspoken brands about abortion rights. Like, every brand I feature is obviously a brand that in some way, shape, or form has been vocal about abortion rights, but I always like to highlight the brands that have gone above and beyond and just are not afraid, and Rhode's one of those brands. And while I'm on the topic of blush, I have to talk about what is my favorite, most used brush of the year. In fact, ever since this brush came out, it's been my favorite, and that is the Rare Beauty Soft Pinch Blush Brush. It works for cream blush, it works for powder blush. I pretty much don't apply my blush any other way than with this brush. It's the perfect shape for the apples of my cheeks. I can really control the product and keep it exactly where I want to keep it. It's also great if you put too much blush on and you're like, oh shit, this is a great way to diffuse that. Like, this is truly just a magical blush brush. There is one lip liner, and one lip liner alone, that I have to recommend to you, and that is the Say Lip Liner 101. This is probably one of my most used shades. It's called Wink, and it's just like a really pretty light neutral shade. I used it on my lips today, and these really are just the perfect formula for a lip liner. They're Goldilocks. They're not too dry and they're not too creamy. They're just right. And truth be told, I'm not a huge lip liner person, probably because a lot of them just aren't the right formula. So we're moving on to the final category, which is lips. First, starting with the Rare Beauty lip oils. I feel like no one is talking about these anymore, and I have to tell you, I use these all the time. I want to say in my last 2 videos at least, it's what I've been wearing on my lips. It's what I'm wearing on my lips today. I'm wearing the shade Hope, which is like a beautiful kind of soft mauve. These really are such a unique next level product. And in terms of like a lip tint / lip stain, they are so juicy. They are so hydrating. They actually do stain your lips. And the way I love to use these is I will go in first with the Rare Beauty lip oil, and then I will top it with a gloss. And that's what I did today. So I'm wearing the Rare Beauty lip oil in Hope, and then I went over that with my Ami Collet clear shimmery gloss. I just don't have to reapply this when I use this. Like, my lips will look like this for the next few hours, and really all I'm doing is just reapplying gloss when I feel like I need it. Every time I've ever used any sort of a lip stain, it's dried my lips out. Yes, it's looked pretty, but like, did I like how my lips felt? Not really. I don't know how Rare Beauty did it with these, and I really hope they don't get rid of them. I'm nervous they're going to, because I feel like, again, I'm really not hearing about these anymore. Is anyone using these? Because I continue to be obsessed with them, and I will be sad if they get rid of them. Moving on to the only proper lipstick on my list, and I'm sure you guys are not surprised that it is indeed the Merit Signature Lip, and this is my most used shade. This is the equivalent of Studio in the Solo Shadows for lipstick. This shade is called Classic. It's literally all I grab for. It's like the perfect kind of pinky nude. It's not to anything. It just makes my lips look beautiful and plump. And even though this is a matte formula, it goes on really creamy. I like to compare these to the Charlotte Tilbury lipsticks. They have the same comfortability for me. Moving on to one of my favorite lip mask, lip gloss type products. This is the Rhode Peptide Lip Tint. I particularly loved their summer shades that they came out with, but alas, those are no longer available, but they still have their OG shade range. Raspberry Jelly is a part of that shade range, which very much matches my sweater. These are just a beautiful hydrating formula that just make my lips look so juicy. Word to the wise, I want to tell you guys, I know some people talked about how they were experiencing like a graininess in this product. When that happens, it's due to temperature. It means the product is just getting too cold. The shea butter is crystallizing inside the tube. So literally all you want to do is just rub the tube in your hands back and forth and warm it up, and you will find that the graininess is gone. I have to put raspberry jelly on my lips right now. Like, I feel like I have to do that. Yes. Next, moving on to two lip oils that I personally think are more of like a lip gloss, which I think is why I love them so much. First are the Ami Colé lip oils. These are just such a beautiful, juicy, sexy gloss formula. This is from their newer holiday set, and I just love this. I'm using it all the time. This is called Magic Hour, and it's clear with this beautiful gold glimmer. And the thing I love about this is you cannot feel any of the glimmer. Like, it literally just glides on like a smooth ass gloss. Here's the first shade of the Ami Colé lip oil I ever got, and it continues to be one of my favorite. This is called Smitten. I can't think of a more beautiful summer shade, honestly. If you like a really substantial, thick lip gloss formula, you are going to love these. And I will say these do stay a little bit longer than other lip gloss slash lip oils because of that. And the very last product I'm going to talk about today are the In Beauty Project lip oils. These are very similar in formula to the Ami Colé, honestly. In Beauty has a lot more shades, and the difference also is that these are scented or flavored. I keep these everywhere. I keep these at home. I keep these in my backpack. These are actually two of my favorite shades. This one was part of the collab they did with Poppy. This is called Raspberry Rosé, and this shade I love. It's called Extra Glaze, and it's actually like very, very similar to the Ami Colé shade I was talking about. It's just clear with glimmer in it. It's a gorgeous lip topper. There's a lot of makeup that I have and absolutely love that is not on this list, but there's just something about these products that I listed for you that I just can't put down. Like, they're easy, they always look beautiful. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for joining me. You guys are the best. Please stay safe out there, and cheers till next time.